As you probably know, here in the UK, we are fast approaching the new tax year. In fact, we're just a few days away. And my plan is not to stick with Vanguard, who is my current ISA provider. Opening a new ISA and moving to a new provider has really made me want to streamline my current holdings. I don't want to get into the position in a few years' time, even a decade's time, where I just have loads of different investments scattered all over the place and there's just tons and tons of duplications and I'm investing into so much stuff I can't really keep track of it. I've said time and time again that I'm very aware I have duplications within my Vanguard portfolio, so I'm finally sitting down to sort that out today. This is quite an overwhelming task I found, so what I did to make it a little bit easier is to first just open a table. I've done this on the Numbers app, but you could do it anywhere. I've opened a table and I've just written down the fund, the market allocation, the top holdings, and any duplications that I have between what I have in my Vanguard portfolio. So the first fund I have is my S&P 500 tracker, and that is of course 100% market allocation into the US market. Makes sense. And the top holdings I've just screenshotted straight from the Vanguard website. I'm not going to read them all out, but you can see them here. I've left my duplication box for this fund empty. And the reason is because the S&P 500 that I have, tracker that I have, is my favorite fund. And I'm not prepared to sell it or move it or do anything with it. So that's going to be like my basis that I'm judging other funds upon. That's not going anywhere. So the next one down is the Ftse 100. The Ftse 100 is the first fund that I ever invested into. And it makes sense, right? As a UK person, living in the UK, what was I going to invest in to begin with? Probably the UK market, and it was the only real fund that I actually heard of. I remember when I was at work, they would always have the news on, and they would always be Ftse 100 in the bottom corner. So I was exposed to that a little bit more than anything else. So I invested into that to begin with, and that's why that is in my portfolio. That is 100% into the UK market, obviously. And again, I've put the top holdings. Now, I will get to the duplication section in a minute. I'm just briefly running through what I have. My next one is the Esg Global All Cap, and the market allocation is split between US, Japan, China, UK. And then the next one is Global All Cap. Again, it's split between a few different markets, and of course it's got exposure into the emerging markets because it's a global all cap tracker. All cap sizes, and you get some exposure to them emerging markets. 10.2% when I wrote this. And lastly, I have my tracker that is ticker symbol VERX, and that is Europe excluding the UK. So the reason that I invested into that is because I already had my Ftse 100, which was my UK tracker, and I just wanted exposure to the rest of Europe. And as you can see, that is split primarily between France, Switzerland, Germany, and the Netherlands. And again, you can see some of its holdings here. When I think about what I want my Vanguard portfolio to look like moving forward, I only really see two funds in there. Let me explain why. So firstly, Ftse 100. It's doing really well at the moment. And in fact, when I jump onto my Vanguard portfolio in a minute, you'll see that it's actually up by quite a lot. I think it's actually its highest it's ever been, perhaps, since I've owned it. It's doing really, really well. I don't really know if I think that the UK market in general is going to grow as fast as, say, the US market. I think that we are lacking a lot of big tech innovation companies that really push the growth of the market. Obviously, we've got some really great companies. I'm not saying our market's not going anywhere, but this has led me to think that I'm obviously doing my dividend portfolio, and that is going to be primarily in UK dividend stocks. So that's going to mean that I have a lot of crossover, a lot of duplication between my Ftse 100 and my dividend portfolio. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut my losses with the Ftse 100 and I'm just going to move it straight into the S&P 500. That's going to be a good move doing that now rather than doing that, say, a year ago, because like I said, it's doing so well at the moment. So I'm getting, you know, all the growth that I've got from that, and I'm just going to move it straight into my S&P 500. I'm going to, again, get rid of my ESG Global All Cap. And that is because there is a lot of crossover with this fund with the Global All Cap. Just my Ftse Global All Cap, a lot of crossover with the ESG Global All Cap. You know, the name gives it away. There's just a lot of crossover. If you look here in the holdings, with the Esg Global All Cap, you're getting top 5, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Tesla. With the Global All Cap, top 5, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Tesla. So I know that obviously the ESG has these other factors to consider. You're a bit more, you know, you're thinking about the morals more of investing if you're investing into ESG funds and so on. I do know that, but there is still a lot of crossover, and I think that I would rather have the Global All Cap in my portfolio. So for that reason, I'm going to remove this position from my portfolio and put it into the Global All Cap. That leads me on nicely. I'm going to be keeping my position that I have in my Global All Cap. So my portfolio from Vanguard moving forward will be S&P 500, ticker symbol VUSA, and the Ftse Global All Cap, which leaves this one at the bottom, VERX. I'm again going to be moving out of that position and putting it into either S&P 500 or Global All Cap, because again, there is a lot of duplications in terms of the market allocation with the Global All Cap. What I will say is with this fund, the VERX, you are getting those European companies, that you're not going to get in a UK tracker, that you're not going to get very heavily in a global tracker. Because if you look here, you're getting 22% in France. You don't get 22% in France in the Global All Cap, for example. So that's some decision I've had to make. I am just going to move out of that European tracker and put it and just back the global market and just simplify things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my Vanguard account, and we're actually going to do this live. So I'm actually just going to force myself to do it now so I stop putting this off. Often it's not really advised that investors sell out of their positions. However, I just want to simplify things. I'm, sort of having a clean slate with my investing journey. This first period of time since when I started investing to now, I've learned so much, and I realized some of the mistakes I made, and I'm going to make more in the future, of course, but I just kind of want a clean slate. I want to simplify things on this portfolio and on my free trade portfolio and just move on to the next part of my journey, as cringy as that sounds, knowing exactly what I hold and having a much more simpler approach. So here we are on my Vanguard portfolio, on my Vanguard account. Just quickly, you can see I have over £6,000 in here. I recently put in a lot more to sort of use up some of my allowance of this tax year. Personal rate of return, nearly 16%. My largest holding, S&P 500. Available cash, £30. You get the idea. So we're going to go on to my investments, and you'll see right now, like I just said, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and my Ftse 100 is up by £80, so that's fantastic. The other two that I'm selling are not very big holdings at all. You'll see the current value, £30 and £16. So I'm down on both of them, but not by very much. So let's do this. I've been putting this off, I tell you, because as a beginner investor, you doubt yourself a lot, and I've been doubting myself, but I just think it makes the most sense to just simplify things, get rid of those duplications and move forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch them. I'm not going to sell out. I'm just going to switch them to other holdings I have. Okay, so I've selected the 3 that I want to sell. Like I said, I'm actually going to make a switch rather than a sell, but you have to select which ones you want to sell first. So I've selected Ftse 100, Ftse Developed Europe, excluding UK, and ESG Global All Cap. That comes to £984.88. That's what I'm selling it for, estimated. Obviously it changes because it will go through at the next available time. So that's really exciting that I get to sort of put that money into the S&P 500 and the Global All Cap. So let's go next. So my investment choices are going to be, let's just find them here. So what I've done now is I've selected the ones I want to sell and what I'm buying. So I want 40% of the money that I'm selling for to go into the Ftse Global All Cap and 60% to go into the S&P 500. So you'll just see that split here, what you're selling, what you're buying, and yeah, just tick this box when you're happy and submit. Thanks, Hayley. You have successfully submitted your switch orders. So yeah, that's going through. So it's just saying that what is expecting to happen next? Well, my pending sell orders and the expected dealing date, and then my pending buy orders, and their expecting dealing date is to be confirmed. That's really exciting. I've now streamlined my Vanguard portfolio and removed some of them duplications. I do know that there are duplications and overlap between the global all cap and the S&P 500. And I know that the global all cap's biggest market allocation is in the US, but I back the US market. I love the S&P 500. I think it's a fantastic one to have, but I do want to back the global market as well. So I don't mind if there's some overlap there, really. I'm quite happy with that. And I'm glad I have now made that decision and, actually gone through and done that. So now moving forward, I will do the same with my free trade portfolio. That is only a general investment account. That is not an ISA. I will get that simplified and sort of sorted out a little bit as well. It's like a spring clean, given that it's spring as well. And then I will be ready to start my new investment journey in the new tax year. Of course, like I said, I'm not sticking with Vanguard, but I'll make a whole video about that and who I'm actually going to go with. So yeah. If you do want to see any more Vanguard content, then please click here.